Hi everyone, Ryan here, Ion Capital Solutions. Today I'm here with Nathan Troyer. Nathan, thanks so much for being with us today.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You got it, you got it. You're coming at us from under the sea, I can see.
Yeah,
Yep, these animated backgrounds are
I
pretty
like
cool,
water.
right?
I like water.
Yep, yep. Google Meet, it's a great platform. Anyway, um, we're going to talk with Nathan, who's a new student of ours, about his experience and more specifically about the deals he's been working on here at Ion and the lessons that are being learned. We've had some great calls back and forth, and we've really been able to home in and identify on, some KPIs that really make the difference between a fundable deal and a deal that's not going to fund, right? And as business loan brokers, we're collecting data, we're talking to a lot of different clients, and what we have to become is expert deal killers. Know the difference between a deal that's worth our time, that's going to yield results, and a deal that's not. Because if we spend time on the wrong deal and we follow client narrative, it can cause problems, it can slow things down, it can waste time, and ultimately there's no monetary result, right? So let's talk a little bit about your deals, Nathan. So just to kind of home in on your experience, your initial experience and background, you have some experience as a business loan broker, right? The real estate investment side is a bit new to you. The business side is not. However, we are offering some different products than you're used to, and we do go a bit deeper on the qualification and underwriting side of the business, right? So, can you speak a little bit about your experience, your skill set, and challenges before you joined Ion, and then now joining Ion, some of the things you're learning?
You had that switched around. I actually have more experience with real estate than I do with
Oh,
business,
excuse me. I'm
and
sorry. I had
that's
that backwards.
one of the things that right. Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I just basically got into the business last year in April, and so I'm learning the nuts and bolts and learning the what to look for, what to watch out for, and so and I tend to waste quite a bit of time, probably like most new loan brokers do. But just to wanting to help out the clients, want to be more like looking at as customer service
The customer
and
service
helping out
hat,
the
right?
clients. Yeah, and so instead of me leading, this is what we do, this is the what we go through to do it, and so you can basically take it or leave it in a way. And so so that's something that I've actually what got me into with Ion here and with Ryan here is to just help me get over the hurdles and get to know the business better.
Right. I hear you. So that conversation and that customer service, what you're essentially saying is you want to help your client. And so you're listening to them and their needs and you're trying to take good notes and make note of what it is they need. But then comes the harder part,
Mm-hmm.
which is can we actually provide what it is they need? And just because they want something, it doesn't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
mean that they're going to get it, right? So based on their financials, based on the qualification of the asset, if it's involved, whatever it is, we need to determine is what they're asking doable, and if it is what they're asking doable for them? Do they qualify? Does their business qualify? If it's a property they're looking to build or purchase, does it qualify? Because that makes the difference, right? Everybody wants money, but not everybody gets money, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
talk to us about a couple of your deals, Nathan, that we were looking at initially and sort of the challenges they were facing.
Mm-hmm. Um, so I don't know that I have all the numbers exactly correct right now, but some of the deals recently that we're looking at was the for business loan. It was somebody wanting to have a purchase a property or a building for their business, and they were making, I thought, was significant amount of money, but then when I was talking to Ryan about it, he was like, "Whoa, this is not near enough." And so I was like, "Okay, wow." But then I realized that this is to do with a business loan, not a real estate loan. The real estate loans you can actually have more leverage, right? You can get more leverage with it. And um, so some of those things is that what, and so then just being able to understand, have Ryan go over with me what an ideal situation is. Like basically what kind of person would be perfect for a loan, and what basically what is our when is it that we need to basically let them know that this is something you need to work on first before we can actually help you.
Right, exactly. Because you can always help the client, sometimes not today, right? But if you help
Mm-hmm.
them understand where they are in the marketplace, whether or not we can actually help them, and if we can't, what's the road to recovery? What are the next steps they need to take so that we can help them? And so informing and educating the client is really everything. And that's where that repeat business renewal residual income comes from, right? From that relationship you build. So, indeed, right? So there's two sides of the
Mm-hmm.
business for anybody who's new to this, right? The real estate investment funding side and the general business funding side. And so when somebody brings up real estate, you may automatically jump to, hey, it's an investment deal. And not necessarily. If you have a business that's looking to expand their business and they need money for inventory, they need money for new hires, they want to purchase a new property or they want to renovate the existing property, there's actually loan products on both sides that they can take advantage of, right? But there's red tape around these options, right? And so it depends. It depends on how much money they want. It depends on whether or not they're actually qualified for that particular product. There's a lot that weighs into
Mm-hmm.
it. So the survey is everything. And what Nathan is describing is that initial phone call with the client, right? They want a commercial piece of property, whatever it is, or they want to expand. But what's the loan amount? And then can they afford it? If it's on the investment side, it'll be, perhaps a hard money deal. Right? If they did a basic purchase, they need to put money down, right? Nathan knows about this stuff, right? And then the lender comes up with the rest of the cash, right? So roughly 30% of the project's cost they need to come up with, and the rest the lender comes up with, whatever it may be, right? But on the business side, it's different. It comes down to the revenue of the business and whether or not that revenue features affordability of repayment of a loan, right? So when the client asks for money, I want $1 million, right? Okay, well, how much money are you grossing a month? $20,000. Okay, well, then there's no way in heck you can afford a short-term loan for $1 million. You can't afford it. You're not making enough money. You'll never be able to make it back. You see, investment usually features the flip, right? You're going to purchase a property, rehab it, and then flip it. Or you're going to refinance it and hold it onto it and turn it into a rental, right? But there's revenue that's going to be generated directly from that investment. Whereas a business, if you're looking to open up and expand, right? Maybe it's a warehousing business. You want another warehouse to put more inventory, and then you're going to there's going to be more sales, whatever. Sure, you stand to gain, but the business funding lender isn't in the game of betting that you will make more money in the future. They're instead, right, they're focused on what are you making now, and does that show affordability of payments, right? So Nathan, we talked about what 16 to 18% of their monthly gross revenue is the max allowance of affordability and repayments
Mm-hmm.
before they're over leveraged or it's too expensive. Your client wanted a significant amount of money but was grossing not even close to enough money, and so they couldn't afford it, right? So we had talked about what's the road to recovery with this client? What can we do for them? Well, what did I tell you? I told you to get back on the phone with the client, explain what can be done, what can't be done, and how they can get to that point, right? So they either need more capital to come up with, to put down, they need to take on partners, right? Or they need to increase their revenue before applying, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of information, Nathan, probably was very eye opening for you because it took a conversation that otherwise sounded great, right? I need whatever the loan amount was. I need 500,000, $1 million. I need all this money. I think it was around 500K, whatever it was, right? I need all this money. And so it sounds like you have this big, great deal that's going to pay you all this money, when in reality you have a deal that's never going to go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have known that without working with us?
No, I probably would have figured it out because other lenders I've been working with would have said no, might have given me some tips, but still, this was a great way to to just, somebody working with me and just explain the whole thing, which most lenders are not willing to do that.
Exactly,
So that,
right.
yeah.
And so down the rabbit hole you go of finding 10 more clients just like that and hopping on
Hmm.
phone calls and collecting documents and sending deals out to lenders. That's a lot of time spent without monetary result. Whereas here we work with you on these deals. We make sure that you understand. So the next time you say, oh, no, no, I've been there before. I've had this conversation before. I know I got to ask these questions and I need these answers in order to move forward. Or next, and I move on to the next deal. And so you're managing your time more effectively and you're able to zero in on a deal that's going to make you money. And that's where you're going to start making money and more consistently. And maybe that guy that you couldn't help in the past will come back to you because you know what? Nathan knew what he was talking about. Nathan understood that he couldn't help me, but he told me what I needed to do so he could help me in the future. And maybe he calls you back in 3 to 6 months or whatever it may be. And that's where the repeat business and renewals and the rapport comes from. But none of that can happen if you're not in the know of how this stuff works, right? So, very important. Now, obviously you work with me and you communicate with me, but you also have a mentor here at Ion who's going to work with you and your clients. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
So that was just really good to have somebody be able to listen to somebody ask the questions, even, how they build rapport and how they,
Run the
um,
phone call.
yeah, run the phone call, and then the question. Then I was able to learn some tips, just simply for what they had to offer or something, how they could make it work. But yeah, it's just it's nice to be able to take some of those deals and just say, you know what, I'm going to listen how they do it,
Right,
and we're
right.
going to, yeah.
Have that person sort of be there to
Hmm.
hold you by the hand, do it for you. You can shadow them and it just
Hmm.
expedites that process. Whereas before you don't have that person, right? You're just kind of you're on your own, you're
Hmm.
trying to figure it out. And I think it's a rhetorical question when I say which is quicker, which is going to get you quicker to the end result, right? And so that's really kind of what we try to do for anybody that joins. I'm sorry, did you have a point? I saw you bring your finger up.
Sure, yeah, yeah. I did want to share too that it also, I like it simply because it's better customer service for my clients. And if I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, it'll it'll actually keep me a deal, even if possibly, or just save the client time as well.
Right, indeed, absolutely. And so I think that may be actually that's a good point. It's a good pain point. There's a lot of people in this space who kind of anticipate that conversation or feel maybe at times that they don't know what to say or they don't have the answer to the question. And so how is that viewed by the client? Does the client want to keep working with you? Do they want to go in a different direction, right? Some people fear that process. Other people get through it and they develop the scrapes, the cuts, and bruises that all brokers have them. If you want to be successful, you have to go through it. But it's an expedited journey using our platform here, right? You're able to essentially learn how to handle these calls and these people up front so that when it's your turn to do it, you've seen it done before, you can follow that model. And so you just, instead of it being a painful process and a slower process, it's a more advantageous process, it's a quicker process, and you're able to expedite. And what are the two most valuable resources for anybody trying to go into business online? Time and money, right? And often they're the same
Mhm.
thing. And so you save those precious resources by using our platform. So, anyway, thank you very much, Nathan, for hitting this topic with me. I think it's very important. I think a lot of people out there, sometimes they get excited or they get lost in client narrative, right? And they don't ground themselves in reality. And so I always say it's important to learn the business before you build the business, because if you build the business without understanding how to
Mhm.
run it, it's just going to bleed you dry of resources, right? So now you're in this position of surrounding yourself with support and getting the help you need so you can learn this business until you don't need us anymore, right? And you're able to
Mhm.
do this on your own and you're in the know and you can provide that level of customer service and quality products, right? And expert consultation to your clients. And that's the whole thing. So
Mhm.
again, thank you. Before we sign off here, I just want to ask you, Nathan, anything else you have to say on topic? And just, what do you think about people watching this video? Should they join Ion?
I do believe it's a great. It's not like something that you're going to get locked into, and basically, and it's just basically a learning experience, a nice way, affordable way to get into a coaching yeah, have
Environment,
somebody that
right?
you can look over their shoulder, and also, yeah, and then even profit as you go
Right.
as well.
Earn while
So,
you
yeah,
learn is the way we like to
yeah,
say it.
absolutely. I would definitely recommend IAM to anyone who's starting out. And I really, you know, Ryan's been a great guy to work with as well. So it's
Thank you.
not just what is provided; it's also just yeah, a kind and a helpful person who'll just say what needs to be said, and in a very receivable way. So yeah.
Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that, Nathan. I do my absolute best. So, all right, terrific. Well, everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.